use mostly very alternative materials, not necessarily your normal art materials. And what I'm interested in are materials that are artificial or represent instinctual desires, such as candy. It's very hard to resist candy. It gives you instant gratification, but it has no lasting qualities. It's not nutritional, it has no nutritional value, and yet it gives you this satisfaction, but it's pretty fleeting. I chose installations because they have the potential to really overwhelm the viewer and surround them and transport them into an altered reality. It is an abstract because it's obviously different to different people, but I do think that there is an instinctual desire that we all, and I think it's a longing, it's a wanting for, various different satisfying of your senses. You desire to see beautiful objects, you desire to be loved, you desire to, to eat or drink tasteful things. So it all engages your senses. It's a physical engagement. I had been obsessed with marshmallows because to me they were the perfect symbol of what I felt our society had become, or what it had become for me. They're incredibly, yummy looking and just, very seductive and sweet and white and innocent, but they're also mass-produced. They're very consumer. Their packaging is great. It's this big fluffy package, and it's reminiscent of childhood and Rice Krispie treats, s'mores, you name it. But if you actually eat a marshmallow, they aren't that tasty, and they're definitely not satisfying. I started making patterns out of them and putting them up on my wall and seeing and it morphed into this mosaic, because mosaic ties it back into historical art. A mosaic is a surface covering, and that's what I was doing. I was talking about surface issues and surface desires, and that just sort of fit into the whole plan, the whole scheme of my conceptual ideas, of it being about, instinctual but empty desires. I started doing these sugar drawings of just painting with glue, sprinkling the sugar on, sprinkling it off. And the idea behind it was that I wanted them to be very white and sparkly. I wanted something that was less sensational. So I started doing these super white on white, very quiet, small, but if you stopped and you took time to see them, the pattern then emerged. And the pattern, again, just this repetitive, beautiful, using flowers, which is, a historical ideal of beauty is found in a flower. I think that when you stick to standard forms and standard formats, it's not necessarily as inventive or innovative or as interesting. And I think that, like I was saying, as long as engaging all the senses, also there's the implied engagement. You may not be able to smell the sugar, but you know the sugar and you know what sugar tastes like, so it's implied. It's an implied, experience there. Kool-Aid, it's artificial as it comes. It's totally artificial, and it comes in these little tiny packages with bright colors on them and bright drawings and wow and all these things on it, and and you put this into a water, and it dilutes, but it's still so bright and colorful, and it goes from this tiny little package and it just spreads into this large amount of liquid. To me, that's fascinating that it can be spread for so far and still remain really vibrant. Well, I work with patterns, and the reason I work with patterns is not only for personal reasons, because I like the repetition of a movement, but also a pattern has a tendency to draw one in, but it also blurs. After you look at a pattern for a while, you quit paying attention to details because it becomes a blurring effect. I also like to use my hands. I'm very much craft-oriented. I'm a maker through and through. I like to make things. Keeping my hands busy and the physical making and it's an element of control. When I make and produce everything myself, I'm completely in control, and hopefully I'm having a little control over the viewer. I'm transporting them with my ideas, and I don't want to use other people helping me. It's definitely a mark of my hand.